We should just let that stream go. We were almost done.
Check 1, 2.
Welcome to the Radiance Videography Podcast. I'm your host, Emil Peter. This is my business partner, Jason Dames. This is the second video in our series of why it's important to have video content for your brand.
Take 2.
Take 2. So this one, we're talking about the importance of using the storytelling brand framework that we have attached ourselves to. It's a wonderful book by Donald Miller that Jason read a few times and then recommended to me, and then I have listened to it several times. It's great. I love it. So with that, the first piece of it is our hero, Jason Dames, and his story. So I'm just going to pitch it to you like that and have you tell us about the hero's journey. Go.
All right. So, yeah, man, I'm so excited to be on this podcast with you. I'm so excited to be able to provide information for companies that can help them. And I stumbled along Donald Miller's book. A lot of you guys out there might have heard of him, but he wrote a book called Story Branding. And one of the biggest, most important things, if you want to attract clients to your business, is your messaging. I would say it's probably the most important, right? So if you
want to keep them interested, right, for sure.
If you want to engage and create more client engagement and more people watching your videos, which in turn should be turn into more customers, right?
Conversion.
Sorry, I have conversion.
That's
having tongue twister there.
It's your turn now.
So this should in turn to more conversion, more customers. But if you're not properly speaking the right messaging to the customers that you are talking to, or that your ideal customer is, for example, so many businesses oftentimes I've noticed, and Donald Miller points this out, is that all they talk about is their widgets and their gadgets and this feature, whatever, whatnot. But the goal of good marketing, in his book, he talks about like really figuring out what your customer's pain point, and you as a business owner helping the customer overcome some sort of challenge or pain in their life. And if you're not talking about that pain that they're going through and how you help them overcome it, then you're missing the point of social media marketing or any type of marketing, right?
Absolutely. And you make an engaging story that people want to follow through with, especially since they're the hero.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they being the business, is the facilitator or is the guide to help the hero through their journey against the villain that is their pain.
Yeah, yeah. So let's back up a little bit and talk a little bit about like the story branding structure. It kind of he kind of steals like the structure that you see in a lot of movies and storytelling, and in the book he kind of frames it from a business standpoint and marketing strategy. You can use the same structure that people use in writing scripts for movies.
Yeah, so any really good movie that you've seen it uses this hero's journey. Well, they're not all the hero's journey, but traditionally a lot of the movies that you watch are the hero's journey or some version of the hero's journey. You can take it all the way back to the Iliad and the Odyssey with Homer, probably to Beowulf if you want, and further back than that. But it doesn't matter. It's still as true then as it is today. Still as true today as it is then.
Yeah.
Stop. Reverse that. But it's essentially, that's the vehicle, the structure for moving forward and telling your business's story, your brand's story, to your client, to your customer, so that you can get them to engage with you, to identify for them what their pain points are, because they have pain points. They call you and say, hey, this is broken and I need somebody to come fix it. Or my dishwasher doesn't wash the dishes right and I don't know why, right? I've got gophers in my yard.
Yeah.
A myriad of reasons. You've got your businesses. Your business does what your business does, and you help people fix their problems, and that's why you got into business, or one of the reasons you got into business, I'm sure. But it's because you identified a problem and a solution, and you can help people overcome the friction of the pain that they encounter with that scenario, and you make it easier and frictionless and remove that obstacle from them, and in which you collect money.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why you're a business.
So can you expand and just tell us a little bit about like what this structure is and why it's important to your business a little bit?
Oh, which structure?
Like the structure of the story branding of the
yeah. So you're identifying your character or your clients. You identify, the framework is basically, here's your character, here's your client, this is the avatar of your ideal person that you sell to, and then you identify the problem. Well, they have a problem. The problem is plaque on their teeth. It's my watch isn't cool enough. It's my car has a flat tire. Whatever the problem is, you identify it for them. And then you present yourself as the guide to help them through and navigate this journey of getting the plaque off their teeth, of defeating the evil plaque monsters, right? Of getting the tire fixed and whatever that is. And you have a call to action. You give them some activity that presents them with a choice of, well, you can live with yellow teeth if you want all day, or you can come use teeth whiteners by Dr. Peter's Bitter Drops and whatever it is. However you provide that service or solution to your client, that's your call to action that you can give to them to say, hey, come do this, right? Come defeat this villain with us, right? And then you take them to success from that, because hopefully through whatever service or product you have sold them, it actually does fix the problem. It does alleviate. It fixes the flat tire. It takes the plaque off their teeth. It gets rid of the moles in their yard. And you prevent them from failure, which is not being able to drive somewhere, not being able to smile, that full, bright, white, teethy smile that everybody loves so much, right? That's the failure that they want to avoid, that has kept them back for so long. That's the whole reason they came to you in the first place, right?
Yeah.
To avoid that situation. And through the story branding process, that's the plan. It figures out how you tell that story. It figures out how you push them through this process, how you navigate the treacherous waters of whatever problem they have.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be as exciting as that. It can just be like, this is Big Al's tire service and we patch tires. You got a flat, bring it to us and we'll put the mirror in it. Like,
Yeah.
whatever your problem is, offer the solution and make it clear. So it helps make sure your messaging is clear, concise, tight, and engaging to your client.
Yeah, I love it. I love that there's like, so what Donald Miller talks about and is the same structure that is in these, what a lot of Hollywood producers use to write scripts and stuff. That structure of storytelling works the same in business marketing. If you can figure out what it is, like what type of problems that your customers is facing and how you as a company can help overcome those problems, or the villain that's in the story, and then what the customer's life looks like after that problem is solved. This is kind of like that same structure that is used in these Hollywood movies, but it works in marketing. And so often, you know, what I see, or if you ever go to a networking group, you know, and they're doing their little 30-second sales pitch, you know, and like, well, we do this and we do this and whatever. And ultimately, I think I heard Donald Miller talk about this, is that if you're not talking about your customer's pain point and how you help solve those problems in their business, or the customer's problems, then you're completely missing the point of marketing. And so often we're talking about these features and the customer's going, great, you have all these features, but how does that really benefit me? How does it really translate into, you know, solving my problems?
And some of those times you're talking about with awards or the features of your product, like those are important for people to know, and that's a nice addition. But if you want to capture them, if you want to convert at a higher rate, if all of your material is, look at how many satisfied customers we have, look at how many awards we've won, look at how great our wood planking is, like look at our clean facility, like that's all good stuff to have, like build trust, build understanding between you and the customer that like, oh, actually you can produce the results. So that's good. Those are things to have. But we're talking about a nice, concise message that reaches out and grabs the attention of the customer to solve the problem for them, building trust with them so that they understand like, hey, you actually have the ability to deliver on your promise. That's a separate piece of marketing that we can talk about in another episode. But in this one, we're talking specifically engaging with them and pulling them into this journey, going on the boat ride with them. Right.
And I think a lot of, one of the reasons why I want to talk about this is a lot of companies that I've sat down with, when we're kind of going through this process is, obviously, first of all, like we want to get somebody on board with us to be able to film their content. But the second kind of step to that is, okay, let's figure out like the messaging and what your company's about and how you help solve their pain points. And a lot of companies, I think, just haven't really thought through some of these things. They know their clients, the problems inside and out, but they really haven't really put it on paper or thought about it.
Right.
So what we'd come along and do is ask questions like, hey, what is some of the struggles that your customers are facing? How do you solve those problems that your customer is facing? And what does their life look like after you had solved their problems? And how can we communicate that into these videos? And so that's part of kind of like strategizing the messaging that we want to create. And, you know, I was mentioning to you before offline that used to be a personal trainer,
Yeah.
and I had most of my clientele were middle-aged women, and really s- they really struggle with self-confidence issues to where it would impact every aspect of their life. They would tell me things like, Jason, I don't even feel comfortable taking family photos with my family because I don't feel good about myself, or my kids suffer because I don't want to take them to the swimming pool because I don't like the way I look, or whatnot.
Right.
And so the main thing that they were dealing with was like self-confidence issues. And if I didn't speak to that problem and how I can help them build habits in their life and help get their confidence back and build these, ultimately just speak to that major problem, then I would be missing it. Like if I just talk about the protein powder and reps and things
Right.
like that.
Look at my Rogue plates. They're the best.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's definitely talking to the client about solving their problem and not how great you are.
Yeah.
You can be great. Let them tell you how great you are, but do it through helping them with their problem, right? I think that's, again, that's the reason we got into business, was to help solve problems for other people,
Yeah.
right? It's not that you're not capable of doing the things that we do or anybody that you hire does. It's that they do it better or make it easier for you to do it so you can focus on the thing you want to do.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's not that you couldn't buy all of this equipment and set all of this up and do all of the things and learn all of the technology and the skills to set up a very great, wonderful video podcast setup and have that run and live stream it every week. You absolutely could. Anybody can do it. Not everybody wants to do it, right?
Exactly.
Like, we love this.
Yeah.
You love this. I like it. I love it. It's guys behind the desk over there. They seem to enjoy it when they're not blasting blocks, but but it's fun for us. This is a thing that we really enjoy, and to see or to have those clients, have them get finished, with their podcast or with their video, or even in that initial interview where we sit down with them and we walk through and identify things like, whoa, who's your ideal client? What are the problems they have? How do you solve those? Like that basic questionnaire that we run through at the beginning, to tease these things out. All of that helps to build that narrative to help facilitate it so that your message gets through in a very efficient way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you might be out there, you're thinking like, I don't really know where to begin. And so maybe like this little structure could help you out. And really, I think a simplified way of looking at it is just, okay, hey, what is the true problems your customer's facing? Like, how do you do it differently than your competition? How do you help solve that problem differently than your competition? And then what's that customer's life look like after you've solved that problem? And if you can tell that, on your videos and you can communicate that, then people are going to resonate with when they watch that video. They're going to be thinking in their mind when they're on the video, when they're talking about somebody else's problem, they're like, oh, I go through that same issue, and they're resonating with it. And like,
well, that's the magic of visual storytelling through video, right? You've got the ability to show your client avatar out there in the world, hey, this is the problem that this person had, and here it is that they've solved it, and how great success looks like, once it's done, once you've provided the service, and then you just splash your logo on it.
Yeah.
And everybody comes and knocks down your door and gives you money.
That's the ultimate goal, right? That's what we want. We want more. We want more money, but to do that, we need more customers, right? And to get more customers, we need to be able to be speaking to their needs and what their wants are.
Yeah.
And we already talked about in the last video that video is
it's a perfect medium to
use to do that.
Yeah.
And so we just want to help, clients out there to do that. So maybe that's a good place for you to start if you're wanting to do it on your own, but this is where we also can come in and help guide you through this process as well.
Step up to a much more professional level.
Yeah, exactly. So this, I think overall is we want to be able to communicate proper messaging that speaks to the customer so you can attract more business. And I think the story branding outline is a great
It's a great framework.
It's a great framework, great tool to be able to utilize. And we want to help you to be able to, walk you through those steps.
Well, and that's why we use it, right?
Right.
Just to make it easier for us, to make it easier for our clients to have such success with their videos and their messaging.
I want to talk about something else we were speaking of too, is just like, you sent me this video of a marketing guru that was talking about how like big companies always like sell to like a particular emotion, right? Like, so like you were talking about Coca-Cola, it doesn't talk about like the ingredients in their soda or whatever. They're talking about like the refreshing experience of being with people
it's not,
and the relationships,
here's the organic
right?
pieces to the solution, and it's all these secret, like, number one, it's a secret formula, so but I know that there's vanilla in there somewhere. Caramel color. Right. Sugar. The basics, right? But they don't talk about any of that, right? A lot, and that's fine. They don't have to. They're selling you the feeling of refreshment, the feeling, right? The Apple's selling you the ease of technology, not the best technology, right? Not always the best technology.
Right.
But it's fine. Not everybody wants to get into.
Think about McDonald's trying to be like, man, we have the best, hamburger,
100% USDA organic. Like,
no,
no, it's real cow. It's for sure. But it's
they're marketing these kids that like are wanting to have fun, and they get their little, box or whatever, stuff.
Nobody's talking about the organic natures of chicken nuggets, right? Like McNuggets are their own thing, delicious.
Yeah,
got to stay away from them, but. Nobody talks about like, oh, this is pure chicken. It's 100% white breast meat. Like, no, none of that is happening. It's literally, hey, look how much fun you people have eating this delicious thing.
Yeah,
right?
A good example of this is I saw a video, and what's interesting in this Donald Miller book, he talks about like once you get this framework, you'll look at all like the marketing videos or
100%
movies in a completely
changes
different
every
way.
way
start,
you
like,
look at anything.
Kind of picking it apart, but this was a really good example of what Donald Miller was talking about in his book, but it was an OnStar commercial. And at the beginning of the video, there's like very few words throughout the whole video, but it starts off in this forest. It's really like peaceful, and you see the deer like drinking water like in the forest, and it's just this. And then all of a sudden you start hearing this like this horn going off, like it starts turning in kind of more of a tense moment. And then the camera starts to pan up up the forest close to the road, and there's this like, I think it was a guy or a girl or whatever in a wreck, and it shows him inside the car, just kind of coming out of the daze. And then the OnStar guy comes on, it's like, man, we're here to help you. And then there was a text that said, the last thing you want to be is alone in this situation. And it was like speaking to them not wanting to be alone, and like the visuals and everything like said it all just in that little short video. I was like, man, they totally like grasped that idea. They weren't showing all these.
But they also took you on that left turn, right? Where you're like, oh, this is so peaceful and relaxing, and then it's just 90 degrees to like, actually it's this.
Yes.
That's a great hook. Like,
so,
well done.
I mean, like you'll start to notice some of that stuff, and it's helped me out tremendously, and I know you've enjoyed some of those principles. But with that said, I don't know.
It's a fantastic book, and I highly recommend everybody go and read it. It's on. You can go get an audio version of it on Audible or whatever platform you use to get books. We're not sponsored by any of these people that we mention.
Yep.
We're just mentioning them because these are the brands that we use. But the last thing, before we get to that though, if anybody else has like thoughts, if you've read the story branding book, if you've gone through Donald Miller's book, or you want to go through it, just put it down in the comments below. Say something, one thing out of that book that maybe we didn't touch on that you got, and I'd love to talk to you about it. It'd be fantastic if we could connect on that. But I think to close it off, maybe we talk about the 3 bullet points you have here under the last point in this, which is consistency.
Yeah,
right?
I like that.
So I think to echo back to your speak of the gym and personal training, right? Consistency is kind of crucial.
Yeah.
Right.
It really is. Like, I'm a big believer in habits. There's a book that I read called The Slight Edge. And one of the biggest things that he talks about in there is like the slight edge is just developing habits. So he talks about like your thinking determines your actions determine your habits, and your habits determine your results. And like a lot of times people that are like fanatical, they like go extreme one way, but then a lot of other things like suffer in their life. And
Right.
so I just really believe he talks about the slight edge, like having a compounding effect, right? So if you just do these consistent habits over and over, you get a little momentum with it, and then the momentum starts carrying you like in a bigger way than you could just kind of by yourself. You just create this momentum. And so it's the same thing works with every aspect in your life, whether it's training, working out,
Yeah.
or, making marketing videos and stuff. It doesn't have to be fanatical, kind of like we talked about on the last podcast, was like, hey, just carving out some time once a month, spending some time making, 3 or 4, podcasts or long form videos. And then you have a lot of content to be able to repurpose and reutilize. And it's just doing that consistently over
Right.
time.
Well, and that's where a lot of us are, right? We've in our lives have decided like consistency gets us forward. It's not, hey, I feel like doing this today and I don't feel like doing it for 3 weeks. Well, then you've only worked on it one day in 3 weeks and you're 3 weeks behind, quite honestly. But it's I don't feel like doing this, but I need to do this. So you show up and you do it because you've built the habit to do it, because you had the consistency to show up even when you didn't feel like it. You had the discipline to keep that consistency, right? And push through so that you do have 3 weeks of video content. So that once you get to a place where your consistent actions have built a depth of content, you can take a little bit of a break and put a pause between like, hey, we're going to film every day and we're going to edit every day and we're going to post every week and we're going to like, you don't have to have that rigorous schedule, right? It can become, hey, I shot 4 videos this week and we're going to post those, 1 video a week. And then in between, take that and repurpose and reconfigure the content of those videos into shorts, into reels, into LinkedIn text posts, like whatever you want. It can be done and we can do it, but it's, you take the time to build that base and then you can start to stretch out to not have to work on it every day.
And I think what you're saying, what it's going to do is it's going to build trust in 2 ways. One, it's going to build trust with yourself because you're following through with what you said you're going to do.
100%.
And if you're building trust with yourself, you're going to build more confidence in your abilities and whatnot. But the second thing is if you're doing this often enough and consistent enough, you're going to build trust with your customer base. You're going to be offering great information to them. They're going to see you consistently and know that you can be depended on.
You're the expert in the field. You know what you're talking about because you've put out this wealth of information.
Yeah.
Right?
So, I mean, that's a huge principle to me, like building trust with yourself, building trust with your customer base. We already mentioned that customers do more business with people they know, like, and trust. And that is a huge step to that. And I think this like story branding thing with the consistency is a great point that I think you bring up.
Yeah, and it helps you engage with your clients. You get to respond to their comments. You get to respond to their questions, their problems, and you ultimately make the world a better place.
Yeah, so that, consistency, there's 3 points: maintain consistent brand voice, post regular, respond to comments and messages. Do you have anything to add on those 3 points, or?
Just that you should be seen, be heard, be radiant.
Yeah. I love that. And so that's really what we're maybe we'll wrap up with that. We want, like, our messaging is we want people to be seen, be heard, and radiate their story, right? And a lot of companies struggle with having the time to be able to film some of this content, or they don't even know where to start. They don't know how to create some of this messaging, and we can help come in and solve those problems.
It's what we're here for.
Yeah, create solutions that can help you be seen, be heard, and ultimately attract more companies through using this video medium that so many people are consuming on a daily basis.
Everybody is consuming.
Yeah.
If you're not in video, you're not in.
That was one of the big reasons why I really decided to go all in on this video stuff, is because I just seen, man, there's such a great opportunity here, because like it's only becoming more and more integrated into people's lives.
Yeah.
Like, it's what everyone consumes is video content.
And
right?
we could go on for hours about how much all of it's out there. Like everybody's like, well, why would you start a YouTube channel now? Like, are you crazy? Why wouldn't you start a YouTube channel now? The sooner you start it, the sooner you build it.
Yeah, and I think to add to that is some people think, well, it's saturated or whatever, but almost everything is saturated. It's just you be able to separate yourself. And this messaging that we're talking about is like how you can separate yourself from the noise.
I mean, how many plumbers are in your local market,
Exactly.
right? They're all making money.
Right. But if you can...
The plumbing market's saturated?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't think it is.
If you can separate yourself and make yourself different,
differentiate yourself enough, stand out.
You help solve those customers' problems differently than your competition, and find some way to do that. You like people, I mean, shoot, just showing up a lot of times separates yourself. Like,
it's true.
I mean, well, think how many people start a YouTube channel but like don't continue to do it, or they quit or whatever.
Well, don't go look at my personal one.
So
some gaps in there.
Yeah, hopefully that information was valuable to you guys. I mean, we're really super excited. Do you have anything else to add? Closing statements?
I mean, just like, share, subscribe, smash the button. Smash the button.
Crush it.
Crush it. Now we're getting physical into this. This is really getting taken off.
It really is, man. So, man, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for supporting us, Radiance Videography, and we love to be able to help you out in the future. God bless you all. Have a great day.
Be heard, be seen, be radiant.
Peace.